All right, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I'm Kerry Rossi. I go by KR. I'm 49. I've been tattooing for 25 years. I'm originally from Yuba City, California, and I've pretty much tattooed all over the place.
Okay, that's awesome. So, what got you into tattooing, and have you always been an artist?
I have not always been an artist. I've always been creative. I used to paint cars. After high school, I ended up going to YO Tech, and I was learning how to do custom cars and painting and all that stuff, and it kind of went more in the collision way, and it's not really the direction I was going. As the same time, I was going into Fort Collins, Colorado, and getting tattooed with a whole bunch of friends. And I had shown the owner, the guy who runs the shop, some pictures I had. Back then they were actual pictures because we didn't have iPhones, of tattoos that I had done, you know, tap and stick and pokes, and I had made a machine out of a face shaver motor. And I'd been doing tattoos, and he was like, have you ever thought about doing this as a job? And I was like, well, not really. You know, I've been going to school for painting cars. I didn't think it was something people would, I think it was just like, you know, bikers and, you know, gangsters and stuff like that back in the day. It wasn't like a business. You know, and fast forward from there, I went home, I got a job painting, you know, doing collision work, and it just wasn't tickling my fancy, you know, and I wound myself back up in Colorado at Fort Collins at Millennium Gallery, and they taught me how to pierce, and I worked the counter while I learned how to tattoo. And then shortly after that, I came back home, and that's that.
Okay. So what would you say is like your favorite style of tattoo?
I like American traditional, but for me, it's anything that the customer wants that I can do well. You know, if it's an infinity symbol for a soccer mom, that's cool. If it's a sleeve of, you know, mandalas and stippling, or just flowers and a hummingbird, you know, not everything has to be traditional. I do my own version of traditional, so I just like to tattoo. You know, if I can do it and make it look good for my customer, then that's what I do.
Okay. And then from the top of your mind, do you have a favorite tattoo, would you say?
I don't, man, I really don't. Even when I get to do stuff that I drew, like I drew for me, like just out of fun, and I get to tattoo it, I just enjoy tattooing. I have a whole bunch of favorites.
Okay. So what is your dream client, would you say?
Punctuality is key. I'm very punctual. I always have been, almost to a fault sometimes, but compromise, you know, somebody who is already educated with my work. You know, I used to have people back in the day that would come in and be like, I just want a rose and a skull, you know, and they didn't have to say much because they already knew my work, and that's great. You know, when people bring in pictures and stuff like that, that's awesome. But sometimes they're already sold on that person's style, like we're gonna trace it, you know, and it makes it really hard. So somebody who's educated with my work, has compromise, has trust, is ready to flip the bill, you know, that doesn't hold off on, you know, paying for the tattoo. Sometimes that gets in the way of the quality of the tattoo. You know, if you only want to spend $300, but you want a tattoo that's gonna be $1,200, it's like, you want to tattoo them, but you know, how do you get that done? You know, off of the line work, you know, there's yeah, that's about it.
So it sounds like you're pretty passionate about it.
Yeah.
But what can clients expect when they're getting tattooed by you?
Honesty. You know, I always say it how it is. You know, I don't really beat around the bush. If something's too small, I tell them it's going to be too small and show them how it's the proper size. Offer substitutions. You know, compromise is huge, you know, because you see it online or on Pinterest or something like that, you know, that doesn't mean that it's ready to be done that way. You know, they could expect efficiency. You know, I'm kind. You know, I like to tattoo. I'm fun. You know, not everybody's meant to be in your chair. You know, but the people who get tattooed by me usually like me. You know, so it's easy. I'm not an earphone guy.
Okay. So what are some expectations for the shop you choose to work at?
What am I expecting? Man, freedom. You know, I got into tattooing because tattooing is freedom. You know, I didn't get into it to be a assembly line worker. You know, I don't mind doing the walk-ins and doing the repetitious little, you know, soccer mom tattoos, you know, or whatever. I like doing that stuff too. But you know, understanding, trust, you know, consistency, you know, in advertising, in the shop owner, you know, sometimes even the shop owners, you know, inconsistent on their moods and stuff like that, you know, that messes with the whole shop's vibe, you know. cleanliness, establishment. I like things when they're established, but sometimes I like helping it become established too. Sometimes that's fun too.
Okay. So what do you feel like to follow that do you offer to a shop?
Consistency. I used to say stuff like loyalty and honesty and being humble. Now I say, it's like I like to help out the younger generation. I like to learn stuff, don't get me wrong. I still have plenty to learn in tattooing, but I like to donate what I do know, whether they take me up on it or not. Like, I like to help out the younger generation. I've been there, I've been around the block. I know a lot about machines and needles and color and color theory and just being in different shops. I offer, a lot of just listening and helping out some younger tattooers.
Okay. So how has tattooing changed in your opinion? And if it was up to you, would you choose tattooing today or the good old days?
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
I like I like some of the change. I dig my iPad. I don't think that, I would die if I didn't have it. I like my rotaries, but I love lining with coils. I'm not a huge, I shouldn't say I'm not a fan of social media, I just don't know how to do it. I think social media is awesome. It's definitely got me places. Anytime I wanted to do a guest spot, I'd hit somebody up on social media and be like, hey, I want to come to Hawaii. Can I come and guest spot? And I always did it through social media. It's just changed. I don't want to be a movie maker. I want to be a tattooer, but these days you kind of have to find a way to do both. If you can't be in people's vision and line of fire, sometimes them just looking at your tattoos is boring, and I get that. If I had to just look at tattoos, sometimes I think it'd be boring too, but probably right in the middle. Tattooing now is it's pretty flooded. Anybody can pick a machine up on Amazon and just tattoo. That's kind of crazy to me. Back in the day, it was, really a lot of gatekeeping and like a good old boys club. I like that it's a little bit more versatile now. There's a lot of things I wouldn't want to go back to, but there's a lot of things that I think that we don't necessarily need.
Okay. So I know you touched on it a little bit, but how have you adapted to the growth in the tattooing industry?
Man, just trying to learn. That's one thing about tattooing. As soon as you think that you know it all, you're pretty much stuck in quicksand. You're dead. It's so like the iPad thing. Learning the iPad, I could learn to use it a little bit better. Learning to use the coils and rotaries. Trying to learn the social media. I ask a lot of the younger generation. And you've helped me, but learning how to use social media. The newer style tattoos. I've been through the areas where, man, we were doing butterflies on boobs, to with kanjis, to stars, to the tribal armbands, to the barbed wire armbands. Barbed wires come back. I've watched the different, stages of it, go through, and you just got to kind of bob and weave through it. You can't be like, I don't like infinities. Man, in Vegas, I think I did 10,000 infinities at one shop. But you know what, man? Some of those people are the happiest people with their tattoos. They love it.
Okay. So what is tattooing to you? Do you still love it?
Absolutely love it. It's amazing. It's my whole world. It's my first love, my first true love. It's the one thing that will never leave you, tough times or not. I would do it all over again. It could get emotional a little bit, but it's my most favorite thing in the world. I cherish it.
Okay. How much longer do you see yourself tattooing?
As long as tattooing will have me. If I can do tattoos and I can still see, my hands still work, and I can still, do the job. I told my friend a while back, I was like, man, if I ever start doing bad tattoos and I don't see it, man, just reach out and tell me. I was like, I don't want to be the guy who is embarrassing himself and ruining his legacy, if that's the word you want to use, by staying in, longer than you're supposed to, But I'd like to stay in tattooing as a whole as long as I can, teaching younger kids, maybe even have a shop of my own someday where, you are the boss, you are the guy who goes out and gets all the paper towels and you keep the advertising going, and you're there for the younger people to learn and all your experiences.
Okay. So how would you sum up your career thus far?
Fast and short, feels long, feels short. I've been to Japan, I've been to all the big cities in the United States. I've worked for cool people, I've worked for jerks, I've tattooed all kinds of stuff. I've been in magazines, I've won awards. I've lost, I've won, I've owned shops, I've lost shops. It's been a hell of a ride, I just hope that I can continue doing it for